Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are in fact that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
That's so much better. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. I am your host, Paul Rogers, and welcome to another episode of Release the Genie. So we have with us today the wonderful Cathy McKinnon. Now, first of all, I'd just like to draw attention to that lovely rack of medals in the background, which we're going to be showcasing a bit later, but let's not get distracted entirely by that yet. Let me tell you a little bit about this wonderful lady. She's a transformational coach, wellness warrior coaching. More recently, I've found a really successful and hard-hitting campaign. Just tune into your social media of exponential legacy. Wow. I'm inspired by just reading the messages. So check it out and you'll see what I'm talking about. An author, she's written a few books, but let me just quote one of these titles to give you a flavor. Joy, Recipes of Abundance. I can just taste that. That is awesome. A speaker, we met each other on the Inspiration Summit last year. Yoga personal trainer. My goodness me, I'm going to run out of cards to read about you in a minute. A cancer survivor, divorce and infertility survivor, warrior. Put whatever compliment you want after that. And just those books, by the way, 3 times international bestseller. Oh my goodness me. I'm going to stop before the microphone catches fire. Cathy, how are you doing?
Doing well, Paul. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a joy to chat.
Oh, well, we've been chatting a little bit beforehand, a lot beforehand, because Cathy's just such a cool girl to hang out with. So, but I'm going to let you sort of take over and elaborate a little bit on the sort of the setting I just gave you.
Yeah. So as Paul said, my journey has been multifaceted. We've all got a story, right? And what I've done is taken all these stones that were thrown at me throughout my journey, through cancer, through infertility, through divorce, to becoming a single mom, to getting out of survival mode and starting to thrive, and taking all these stones and lessons learned and really building my coaching business so that I can help other women with their confidence, their growth, not only for themselves, but so that they can more effectively lead their families and their organizations and their communities. And continue to think big. I mean, the reality is we're all living legends, and it's just a matter of what is the legacy that you're going to leave behind. And that comes from your actions and your words every day.
I love that, because you're right. It's first thing that popped into my head, nobody puts baby in the corner, to tell my age. But you're right that, you know, we have at some point in our lives, we allowed ourselves to be put and think small. So this is kind of like throwing off those chains and saying, no, actually, you can leave something beautiful behind.
Absolutely. This is, we can all easily fall into comfort and mediocre, right? But the reality is you can, if you want, you have to want, but you can have so much more. But you have to step outside the comfort zone. And I understand that is not always easy. And that's what I help the women I coach with. But the reality is the world is full of abundance, of experiences, of memories, of ways to earn livings. You don't have to follow conventional paths or means. And so why not go out and live a life full of experiences and memories and create this legacy for your family?
That's just, I mean, that sort of stuff I can just breathe in all the time. It's wonderful because, conformity is the biggest enemy growing up. And so being able to actually push back, and you know, you said you had a bit of a rebrand of at the beginning, and your posts, they're not just normal sort of here it is posts, they're real, there's really something in each one of them, isn't there?
There is, and again, it's, you know, we don't know when we write our posts, right, how they'll resonate with each person. I know what I intend to say, and that is that you need to think bigger, you need to play more powerfully, and you need to be courageous to do it, because your life and your families depend on it.
Yeah.
And I know it's not always easy. I still have anxiety, or they're terrified to make moves, take steps. But you can't get overwhelmed by the whole staircase. You got to take one step at a time.
Brilliant advice. Brilliant advice. Yes, it's not the complete absence of anxiety. It's being able to actually have anxiety and still keep moving. So I love it. I love it. Well, look, let me take you to one of your aha moments, one of your release the genie moments, if you could share that with us.
Yeah, I always say, you know, my life did a complete shift with my cancer diagnosis. Before that cancer diagnosis, I was young and living vicariously as we do when we're young, right? We're superhuman. We don't have to think about, you know, what we're putting in our bodies, on our bodies, what we do. We don't have to think about next month. We just think about what we're going to do this afternoon. I was 28 when I received my cancer diagnosis. And to be honest, I was not living intentionally. I was living as a 20-year-old, like, we're just doing our thing. And then my cancer diagnosis came down, and it came down not only with the possibility of you might not be able to ever have children, it also came down to it's cancer. So you don't know if it will come back. You don't know if these treatments will be enough. You will have to have recurring scans to make sure that it doesn't come back. You will, for the rest of your life, have to see doctors. It was overwhelming. And at that point, it's, you don't know how much life you have left. You don't know. And so that was definitely a steering point for me, in that I'm not going to waste any more of my life. Time is a precious commodity. And I'm going to go all out and live all out and make some amazing memories and experiences, and go 100 miles an hour towards the things that I want. And if they don't work out, it's not going to be because I didn't try hard enough. It's going to be because it wasn't meant to be for whatever reason, but it's not going to be for the lack of my passion and effort for that goal. And so that's how I've lived my life. I've tried several different things. I've gone on several different experiences since then, and I have no regrets, because they were all learning experiences. Even if they didn't turn out exactly how I thought that they would, I learned so much from the experiences that, you know what, they were all worth it. They were all worth taking the risk, taking the chance, going and doing the things, because it's all been stepping stones to take me to the next step.
I love that. And you're so right, because playing it safe is a choice. It's an option, when in fact they made the decision, do I play it safe or do I do something else? You know, so I admire the fact that you've actually can say, well, look, there is no bad choices, there's learning choices. So I think that's incredibly liberating, and I can feel the sort of expanding out of that small world thinking. Love it. Oh
yeah. There's lessons in everything, and I always joke that, you know, I have so many lessons learned I could write an encyclopedia set, but they've all taken me to this place where I'm at today. I would not be in this same place today, creating this life that I have today, if I didn't go through them.
Love it. I love it. So, so true. Well, look, this dovetails neatly into, tell me, what is one of your inspirational quotes that you reach for, one of your mantras?
One that I consistently go back to is, you are one decision away from a more powerful you. Like, every day we make so many decisions, we don't even think about many of them, but they steer your direction. whether you realize it or not, every yes or no that you say on a daily basis takes you either closer or further away from your vision for your life. And, you know, we're in such an instant society that we think we have to give instant responses to things. The reality is 90% of the decisions that we make don't require an instant response. You have time to step back and make an assessment before you say yes or no, because the reality is that yes or no will impact your trajectory.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because basically be present, because if you're trying to second guess yourself all the time, you're going to get it wrong. You can't, you're never going to get what you think. And whatever you think is perfect isn't perfect. It's not the way you should have been anyway. I mean,
Right.
I think some of my worst choices have actually been some of my now best moves. I love it. I love it. What a conversation. We could sit and talk about this all afternoon. If you want this, then please reach out to Cathy. But I'm going to pull you back to those fine looking medals behind you, because I look at those, look, sparkly. Tell me a little bit about those.
So that's my reminder that I can do tough, challenging things. You know, we very easily get overwhelmed with the inbox, the meetings on the calendar, and this puts it in perspective for me. These medals, they were, I would say 90% of them were after my son was born, after my cancer diagnosis. I got into running and sort of became one of those junkies. People talk about that runner's high. I thought they were all lunatics, because I could never figure out why people would enjoy running. And then I got into it, and I got into it with a group of people that became my family, and we would go and we would do races together and support each other and be there for each other. And it became like my second family. And I've now done 10 Spartan races, which are crazy obstacle course races that are very intimidating. But now I look at it and I'm like, if I could do that, I can go run another race, right? It resets the bar on what you know you can achieve. Because if I could achieve that hard thing, then doing the next thing is so much easier. And so it's grounding myself every day when I see those medals here in my office, that, you know what, I might be overwhelmed or anxious about what's on my calendar, or what's in my inbox, or, oh my gosh, there's 20 DMs I need to respond to. That's not challenging when you think about some of those painful moments running those races when I just wanted to give up but refused. I think we all need visual reminders that we are so much more capable than we give ourselves credit for.
Exactly what you said. I was about to say that actually it's kind of like having a vision board, but showing this is what I can do on those, because not every day you get out of bed and go, hey, I'm gonna, you know, score the home run, maybe, but on those days you're not. That's you there. That's important, because that's actually how far you can go and still go further.
Yeah, it's yeah, we need that reminder. We need it not only for ourselves, but for those of us around us, right? I mean, my race family, they now are like, okay, Cathy, when are we going to go do the other one? And you know, there's days that I hesitate, like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that, but they're holding me accountable. And I think it's important to have accountability partners and people surrounding you that push you, because they've seen you run that race. They know you are capable of it, and they're not going to let you settle, because they know that you have more left in you.
That's just wonderful, isn't it? I mean, and I can see now the thread running through your books, through your coaching programs, is distilling that magic ingredient to bring it down. That's wonderful. Well, look, we're going to change tack now. I'm going to ask you about something. Yeah, you're getting far too comfortable. I had to change. I wonder if you could tell us, when it wasn't such a rosy picture, was there a setback which really is sort of now you can talk about and you can actually use that lesson?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a few. Um, there was doozies. I call it for me, it was the trifecta of events. So within a very relatively short time period, I was dealing with infertility, I was dealing with cancer, and then my marriage exploded. Um, I didn't know which way was up at that point in time. And to be honest, there were days that I was figuratively drowning. Um, and I didn't know how to get out of it, what would get out of it, how this would turn out. Um, there were days where I was like, maybe none of this is meant to be, because then you just start spiraling. And I got to the point where, okay, maybe I'm not meant to be a mom. Maybe this cancer is telling me that my journey here is short. Maybe I'm not meant to live that 80, 90-year-old life. Maybe this is all hitting at once because this is it. This is what it's supposed to be. And there were dark days. I'm not going to deny that. There were dark days where I'm like, you know what, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where we call it. Because I couldn't see a way out. And when you're drowning that badly and you can't see a way out, you default to the only way out is to not be here anymore.
It's you being aware, because I do believe that you don't know what you don't know, and you can't lead where you won't go.
Right.
And if you're aware, you can now spot that in somebody else because you've been there, and that gives you a vision, which doesn't come from courses and stuff. It comes from being aware and making them aware, because once they're aware, they can go on and help the next person. So you're really giving back everything. And hey, look at the medals. You're not leaving anything on the damn table either, are you?
No, we're going to go all out, and, go all out in all areas of my life. Right. And that's, yes, physically, I'm going to push myself. Physically, I'm going to go experience things with my son. But also, to your point, giving back, telling my story, saying, I've been there. I've been there, and I know it's not easy, but also that I don't want anyone else to go through it the same way I did. And if by sharing my story or my publications, if it helps one person, then my work here is done. And I have had people reach out to me, whether they've read an article I've published or a book or whatever it might be, and say, you know what, I was inspired from this. That is where it makes it worth it.
That's the successes. It's not a financial thing. It's that it hits you right in the chest, and you think, yeah, that was why it was here.
Yeah, and then I can say, you know what? Yes, medals are nice, financial things are nice, but that's my legacy. That's how people will remember me, and that is the most important, because at the end of the day, when I leave this earth, they're not going to remember Cathy had a wall of medals. They're going to remember, this is how Cathy made me feel.
That's beautiful. I love it. Well, look, you've actually led us into the next question beautifully. Who's your hero and why?
This is a tough one, but the person that always brings me back when I have my bad days, because I still have bad days, I'm human, is my grandmother. She was like a whole whopping 5 foot tall. So she's this tiny little thing, but she stood for so much, and she endured so much. I mean, she raised 5 children while my grandfather was deployed and was away most of the time. But what was so remarkable about her was that she found laughter and joy in the chaos.
Wow.
And she always said to me, you have to remember to laugh, because life can get very heavy. And no matter how heavy it is, there is something that can bring a smile or laughter. And if you can make your way through the chaos, whatever the chaos is, there will be more laughter on the other side.
That's wonderful. It's having the strength to hold on through the bad times, to be there for the good times.
Absolutely. It's
I
not an
love
easy
that.
one. I know that.
Oh no, oh no. When they say strength, you get
Oof.
tested on that.
Oh yeah, there's pressure testing that goes on.
Oh yeah, it's not a question of, and you don't get many runs. You have to just do it on the spot. Wow, what a wonderful hero.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful answer. Oh, stop it. Right. So tell me, what are you up to now? What is going on at the moment in Cathy's kitchen? Go for it.
Yeah. So the top priority right now is my one-on-one coaching container, the Exponential Experience, where I work one-on-one with women to help them, take those next steps, those big, bold steps to help start living the legacy that they want to leave behind. So that is my number one. Working on some things with Riley and his book. He's going to have some more things coming up with his book. So that's very exciting for him as well. So, and doing some charity work. So this weekend I'm actually spending some time supporting a charity. So lots of different irons in the fire. But I love being that diverse, multifaceted, various ways of giving back and serving.
I would have been so disappointed if you said, actually, not much, just sort of
just kicking back, watching Netflix.
Today, I'm not sure what I'm going to do this afternoon because I haven't done it. No, that was never going to be you. It was always going to be, I'm out there and I'm helping. I love it, and I think that's what keeps you so present and focused, is having all those things at the same time. And a little bit of chaos is not such a bad thing.
No, I think, again, if it's things that you love, things that you enjoy, it's not work, right? No. And coaching women and helping my son, like this doesn't seem tasking, and I could do this all day.
And I'm pleased you can, because that's what you're going to be doing. Your wish has been granted, and we're just getting into the wishes. Oh my goodness me, what great timing. So now I get to ask you for 3 wishes as a genie. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Wish number 1. What was the best advice you've received in your life?
The best. I have to go back to that advice from Grandma. Remember to laugh. Remember to laugh.
That's a pretty hard one to beat, to be honest. I'm like, oh my goodness, that was so good. No, well, absolutely not take things so seriously.
Yeah.
I love it.
In the grand scheme of things, some of these things are not as serious as you think.
Yeah. And it's usually the noisier they are, the less serious. So, yeah. Love it. Great advice. See, it's so good we went down there twice. So the second, here we go. What advice would you give your younger self?
Follow your heart. Stop getting caught up in comparisons and fears and expectations, and live your life and be you. I spent, as many do, spent many years going down a traditional path, following the family's guidance, doing what I thought I was supposed to do, not necessarily listening to my heart and my intuition.
Wonderful to and when I ask that question, I always like to think, do you think you would listen to yourself if you turned up and said that to yourself?
Maybe not at first. I probably would have been like, who's this crazy lady? Get her out of here.
Maybe you had to come around more than once, maybe just sort of stand there a couple of times, think, well, actually, I made it, because you did pick up signals. So it's a question of, but that's such an important one, to actually just flow, to let yourself go with it.
Let yourself be.
Yeah.
And it's hard, right? Because we think we're supposed to control it, and it's supposed to be this defined path, and I need to do this, then this happens. And when that doesn't happen, our expectations just crumble because it's not the way it's supposed to be. But maybe it's for the better.
And 9 times out of 10, it turns out all right.
It does. It's just that broken expectation and that broken control that hurts us.
It is. Wow. I love that. What an answer. My goodness me. Okay. Book time. I always love to showcase a book or anything which you turn to. Which book would you recommend?
I actually just finished reading this one, which I found was so great. Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday.
Wow.
This will remind you that we need to be doing powerful things, that we can do powerful things, that there's reasons we need to do powerful things. It's important to do powerful things.
I've just written that down because that sounds wonderful.
It was a good one. I found it to be a relatively quick and easy read. But there's so much power in this book, in the message.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I always love to know what people are, where they go for their sort of their kicks. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Go on. Where can we find you? Tell us where you are so everyone now can read.
I am most active. I'm, of course, on all the social media platforms, but I'm most active on Instagram, and my Instagram handle is the Cathy McKinnon. I am on Facebook under Cathy McKinnon as well. I'm just not as active there, but if you want to find all the goodness, it's on Instagram.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is no excuse. You have the name, you have the number, and also look. This is just a snippet of what this is the same chat we had before we started rolling. It's not changed at all. So what you see with Cathy is what you get. You get, somebody who leaves a whole heart on the table, is willing to service, to bring her experiences to help you take those difficult steps, because those steps are scary. We're not saying they're not, but if you've got somebody there who's done it, and actually has done it well, that's the person you'd be talking to. So I am delighted to have had you on today, Cathy. Last question. Did you enjoy yourself?
Absolutely. It's always like I said, it's always a joy. We have great banter. So thank you. An honor to be on, Paul.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being today's Genie. Guys, wow. I hope you've been moved like I have. Track down Cathy. There's no excuse, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Release the Genie. Why don't you go today? Think of a time you can release your genie. Next time.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your genie. Thanks for listening.